Good evening, aspirants. Welcome to Daily News Analysis of Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 13th of June 2024. Displayed here are the articles that we are going to discuss today. So without much delay, let us get into the first news article discussion. Let us solve few previous year questions. Look at this 2018 question. In the Indian context, what is the implication of ratifying the additional protocol with the International Atomic Energy Agency, that is IAEA? So before answering this question, let us discuss few basics about International Atomic Energy Agency. See, it is a intergovernmental organization that aims to promote the peaceful use of nuclear energy. It also combats and prevents the use of nuclear energy for any military purposes, including nuclear weapons. Note that it is one of the United Nations agencies. Now talking about the membership, the IAEA has 175 member states as of today. The latest two countries to join IAEA are Saint Kitts and Nevis and Tonga. Note that India became a member in 1957 itself. Now talking about its important functions, the IAEA serves as a forum for promoting and assisting the research and development and practical applications of peaceful use of nuclear technologies and nuclear power worldwide. The IAEA provides international safeguards against misuse of nuclear technology and nuclear materials. The agency is also promoting nuclear safety, including radiation protection and nuclear security standards. This agency will also overlook the implementation of safety and security standards. So with this understanding, let us go back to the question. First, the civilian nuclear reactors come under IAEA safeguards. Yes, this statement is correct. See, the additional protocol is not a standalone agreement. Rather, it is a protocol that provides additional tools for verification. In particular, it significantly increases the IAEA's ability to use of all nuclear materials in states with comprehensive state safeguard agreements. Hence, the civilian nuclear reactors come under IAEA safeguards. Next option, the military nuclear installations come under the inspection of IAEA. This statement is incorrect because it does not come under the inspection of IAEA. Next option, the country will have the privilege to buy uranium from the nuclear suppliers group. See, this statement is also incorrect. IAEA protocol ratification will not give any privilege to buy uranium from the nuclear supplier group. Next option, the country automatically becomes a member of the nuclear supplier group. This statement is also incorrect. The NSG membership is not based on IAEA additional protocol ratification. So the correct answer is option A. Next question. Look at this 2018 prelims question. This is about the RBI and treasury bills. So first we need to revise the basics and let's come back to the question. So first, to talk about the functions of RBI. The RBI was established in 1935. It serves as a central bank of the country and playing a crucial role in India's economic stability and growth. We know that its primary functions are formulation and implementation of monetary policy, managing the interest rates and ensuring adequate money supply in the country, and overall it fosters for the economic stability and growth. Also note that the RBI acts as the banker to the government, managing its accounts, public debt and issuance of government securities. With this, let us revise few things about treasury bills. See, treasury bills are also called as T-bills. They are short-term debt instruments issued by the Government of India. This is to meet some short-term borrowing needs. They are typically issued with the maturity periods of 91 days, 182 days and 364 days. Also know that T-bills are sold at a discount to their face value, and upon maturity, the government pays the holder the full face value with the difference representing the interest earned. So with this understanding, let us go back to the question. First statement, Reserve Bank of India manages and services the Government of India securities but not any state government securities. See, this statement is incorrect. The RBI manages both Government of India and state government securities. Next statement, treasury bills are issued by the Government of India and there are no treasury bills issued by the state government. Yes, this statement is correct. Next one, treasury bills are issued at a discount from the par value. Yes, as we discussed, this statement is also correct. Here they are asking which of the statements are correct. So the answer is option C, 2 and 3 only. With this, let us move on to discuss the articles which were in news. Look at this article. This article addresses the growing issue of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, that is NAFLD. So it emphasizes the urgent need for awareness and early screening for liver disease. So in this backdrop, let us revise about fatty liver disease. Know that fatty liver disease is a common condition caused by the storage of extra fat in the liver. A healthy liver contains a small amount of fat and it is normal, but it becomes a problem when the fat reaches 5 to 10% of our liver's weight. In most cases, fatty liver does not cause any serious problems and it does not prevent your liver from functioning normally. But for 7% to 30% of people with a fatty liver, the disease gets worse over time. Know that fatty liver disease progresses through 3 stages. The first stage is called as steatohepatitis. In this stage, the liver becomes swollen and it damages the tissue of the liver. Then the second stage is called as fibrosis. In this stage, the scar tissue forms on the damaged part of the liver. And the final stage is called as cirrhosis. In this stage, the extensive hard scar tissue replaces the healthy tissue of the liver. The hard scar tissue slows down the functioning of the liver and sometimes it even blocks the liver function entirely. Apart from this, cirrhosis can also lead to liver cancer. So these are the 3 stages associated with fatty liver disease. Now moving on to see about the symptoms of fatty liver disease. People with fatty liver disease often have no symptoms until the disease progresses to cirrhosis stage. If the people have symptoms, they may include abdominal pain, nausea, weight loss, jaundice, swollen abdomen and legs, extreme tiredness and weakness. So this is all about the symptoms. Now we look at the types of fatty liver disease. See, there are 2 main forms of fatty liver disease. They are alcohol-induced fatty liver disease and non-alcohol related fatty liver disease. The first type, alcohol-induced fatty liver disease, is caused by regular alcohol consumption. However, the second one, that is non-alcohol related fatty liver disease, is caused by excess fat, high blood pressure, diabetes and unhealthy lifestyle. So this is all you have to know about liver and fatty liver disease. Now we will look at the data provided in this article. As we just saw now, the non-alcohol related fatty liver disease is caused by excessive fat, high blood pressure, diabetes and unhealthy lifestyle. And note that there is an advanced form of this type which is called as non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, that is NASH. Now coming to the data, globally the prevalence of NAFLD is around 25%. Then the prevalence of NAFLD in Asia is around 27%. But if we take India, the prevalence of NAFLD is much higher than the global and Asia average. See, in India, the prevalence of NAFLD is seen in 39% of adults and in 35% of children. Now coming to non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, the global prevalence of this NASH is estimated between 2 to 6%. In India, the cases of NASH are steadily rising. So the prevalence of NASH will lead to cirrhosis of the liver and later it also causes liver cancer. Now coming to another data, some health professionals say that 50% of diabetic patients, then 75% of obese persons and 100% of the people with both obese and diabetic conditions have this non-alcohol related fatty liver disease. The professionals further say that even non-obese people can develop both NAFLD and NASH. This is because of the lack of activity and eating junk foods. Apart from this, they also said that childhood obesity is also increasing at an alarming rate due to consumption of junk foods. So this is all about the data provided in this article. Now what can be done to maintain a healthy liver? So there is no medication specifically for fatty liver disease. So we have to do some lifestyle changes to significantly improve our liver health. See, avoiding alcohol, doing regular exercises, then taking medications to manage diabetes and cholesterol can help you prevent fatty liver disease. See, our liver has an amazing ability to repair itself. So if we do these activities, we will surely reduce liver fat and we will be able to reverse early liver damages. In addition to this, the government should educate the public and about the non-alcoholic factors such as overeating and high caloric diet that causes damage to the liver. So this will help to reduce fatty liver disease significantly in the country. So this is all about this article. With this, let us move on to the next one. Look at this science article from The Hindu. Researchers at Scripps Research Institute and MIT have developed two nanoparticle-based vaccine candidates, that is N332 GT5 and EOD GT8. This is to produce broadly neutralizing the antibodies against HIV. These vaccines were effective on mice and macaques and now are undergoing phase 1 clinical trials in humans and could provide a breakthrough in HIV vaccine development. So with this backdrop, let us cover the basics about HIV from the prelims perspective. First of all, you should be clear about the terms HIV and AIDS. See, HIV or human immunodeficiency syndrome is an infectious virus that affects the immune system. So what it will do is, it will weaken the immune function to fight against the invading diseases. However, AIDS, that is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, is a final stage of HIV infection where the patients will have pneumonia, fatigue, weight loss and other complications. Clear? Also know that there are 3 stages in HIV. First one is acute HIV. Next, chronic HIV. The last stage is AIDS. So how does it get transmitted? See, basically the HIV can spread through semen and vaginal fluid during unprotected sex. Next, blood from unsterilized needles or instruments and breast milk. It can also pass from mother to child during pregnancy. However, if detected early and treated with consistent medication, HIV can be managed effectively. Now moving forward, let us see about the available treatments. So basically this antiviral therapy, that is ART, is the treatment of HIV patients using anti-HIV drugs. It uses a combination of drugs like zidovudine, lamivudine, tenofovir, efavirenz, ritonavir, atazanavir, etc. So this will suppress HIV replication. So these drugs are often called as highly active antiviral therapy or HAART. So this treatment reduces mortality and morbidity rates among HIV infected people and therefore it improves their quality of life. It also prevents even the HIV transmission by suppressing HIV replication in persons living with the virus. So this is all about the HIV and AIDS. With this, let us move on to the next news article. Look at this article. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the G7 outreach meeting in Italy. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy is also expected to attend this meeting. So there is a huge possibility that he'll meet our Prime Minister Modi. Know that India has been invited to the G7 outreach for the 11th time and Modi is attending for the 5th time. In this meeting, India will have discussions on artificial intelligence, Africa, Russia-Ukraine conflict and Israel's war in Gaza. So this is the crux of this news article. In this context, let us understand about the basics of G7 and another one important organization, that is G20. So firstly, let us start with the overview of G7. See, the G7 is an informal group of 7 countries. It consists of United States, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan and United Kingdom. G7 represents 40% of global GDP and 10% of world's population. Unlike other bodies such as NATO, the G7 has no legal existence. In addition to this, it even lacks a permanent secretariat. It also has no binding policies or decisions. Then what is the purpose of this G7? See, the G7 provides a platform for leaders from these 7 countries to discuss and coordinate economic policy, security and other major global issues. Now let us see a little bit about the history and the evolution of G7. See, the origin of G7 dates back to a meeting between the US, UK, Italy, France, Germany and Japan that took place in 1975. At that time, the global economy was in the state of recession due to the OPEC oil crisis. Here, OPEC refused to supply oil to the West due to the Israel-Egypt war. This resulted in an energy crisis in the West. As the energy crisis was escalating, the USA decided that it would be beneficial for the larger players on the world stage to coordinate with each other on macroeconomic initiatives. So this is why the 6 countries had a meeting. After this first meeting, the countries agreed to meet annually and a year later, Canada was invited into this group, which marked the official formation of the G7. See, the President of European Commission was asked to join the meeting in 1977. After the collapse of Soviet Union in 1991, Russia was also invited to join in 1998. Thereafter, the group was named G8. After that, in 2014, when Russia was expelled for its annexation of Crimea from Ukraine, after 2014, the G8 again became G7. Now let's look at the presidency of the G7 groupings. See, the presidency of G7 meetings is held by each of the 7 countries in turn each year. The country holding the presidency is responsible for organizing and hosting the meeting. Finance ministers and central bank governors of the G7 also meets regularly to discuss economic issues. This year, G7 meeting is going to be held in Italy. So moving on, we shall see some important agreements made in the G7 so far. See, in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, the G7 created initiatives for debt relief to heavily indebted poor countries. The G7 has also played a key role in coordinating economic policies, particularly during financial crisis. For example, during the 2008 financial crisis, the G7 coordinated efforts to stabilize the financial markets and restore economic growth. In 2021, the G7 finance ministers agreed to impose a global minimum corporate tax of at least 15% to curb tax avoidance by multinational companies. In 2021, the G7 agreed on an ambitious plan to help developing countries to tackle climate change and pledged to protect 30% of the planet's land and ocean by 2030. So this is all about G7. Now we shall discuss some information about G20. See, G20 is an intergovernmental organization that was established as a result of G7 finance ministers meet in the year 1999. See, G20 was born in the backdrop of Asian financial crisis that gripped East Asia and Southeast Asia in 1997. In 2008, again in the midst of another financial crisis, the then US President George Bush invited the leaders of G20 members to coordinate actions in order to respond to the crisis. This led to the start of the actual G20 Leaders Summit. Since 2010, the G20 meeting is held annually and the host country changes every year. Now let us learn few terms related to G20. Firstly, Sherpa. See, Sherpa is a term used to denote G20 leaders' personal representatives. Sherpa's duty is to oversee the negotiations and discussing agenda items for the summit and also coordinating the work of G20. Next term is G20 Troika. See, Troika refers to the top grouping within the G20 that consists of the current, previous and the incoming presidencies. Here note that present G20 Troika are Indonesia, India and Brazil. The Troika will change every year. The objective of Troika is to ensure consistency and continuity of the G20's agenda. Now coming to the member states of G20, G20 comprises 19 countries as well as the European Union. The countries are Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, UK and United States. Here note that Spain is invited as a permanent guest. Other than this, there will be a special invitees to the meeting every year. Here note that G20 does not have a permanent secretariat or headquarters. So this is all about the basic informations of G20 groupings. Both G7 and G20 play crucial roles in the global governance. The G7 mostly focusing on the issues related to the most advanced economies and G20 providing more inclusive platform that encompass both developed and developing nations. So with this, let us move on to the next news article. Look at this article. It states that the 18th Lok Sabha has the lowest share of Muslim MPs in the last 6 decades with only 4.4%, that is 24 MPs. See, this is worrying as Muslims constitute 15% of the population. Also, the ruling party has no Muslim MPs. Historically, the share of Muslim MPs peaked at 8.3% in the 1980s. Now, the Congress has the highest number of Muslim MPs at 7%. It is a significant increase from the previous years. Other parties with notable Muslim representation includes the All India Trinamool Congress and the Samajwadi Party, etc. Moreover, the decline in Muslim representation is particularly felt in Assam Kerala and Uttar Pradesh. So this is the crux of this article. Now in our discussion, we are going to see about the constitutional provisions which are safeguarding the political fundamental rights in this discussion. So firstly, let us look into the syllabus. See, this topic will come under GS paper 2. Now let me read out the question. How effective are the constitutional provisions in protecting and enforcing the political rights of citizens in India? See, this question is a well-structured question. It asks us about the constitutional provisions regarding political fundamental rights. Moreover, it asks us to enlist the effectiveness of them. It means we have been asked to elucidate about the factors which pose a threat to it. So first, let us start with an introduction. The Constitution of India stands as a cornerstone of the nation's democratic framework, meticulously designed to protect and uphold the fundamental rights of its citizens. Enshrined in the Part 3 of the Constitution, these fundamental rights serve as the bedrock of India's commitment to ensure justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity for all the individuals. So this can be your introduction. In the main body part of the answer, you can write like this. Firstly, you can write about the key constitutional provisions which ensure political rights of citizens. Here note that the rights can be written by doing a tabulation to utilize the space. Now let us see the rights. Firstly, to ensure right to equality, we have Article 14. It ensures equality before law and equal protection of laws. Moreover, Article 15 states that it prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Next one is Article 16. It ensures equality of opportunity in the matters of public employment. Secondly, right to freedom. So under this category, you can write about Article 19, 20, 21, 22. For example, Article 19 says, it guarantees freedom of speech and expression, assembly, association, movement, residence, and profession. So these freedoms are crucial for any political participation. Similarly, Article 20 protects against arbitrary and excessive punishment. Article 21 guarantees the protection of life and personal liberty. Lastly, the other articles like right to constitutional remedies, right to vote ensures political rights of every citizens. Lastly, the Representation of Peoples Act 1951, which provides the framework for the conduct of elections and the resolution of disputes regarding elections. See, all these are given for your reference. You can selectively pick the articles and use it for your answers. Now talking about the effectiveness, here you can write how various institutions are helping to enforce the rights effectively. Firstly, various judicial safeguards. See, the Indian judiciary, particularly the Supreme Court, plays a crucial role in interpreting and enforcing the constitutional provisions. Note that various public interest litigations, that is PILs, have been instrumental in addressing violations of political rights of citizens. Secondly, the role of Election Commission. The Election Commission of India is an autonomous body responsible for conducting free and fair elections. Its role in ensuring transparency and adherence to the electoral laws has been significant. This is evident in the regular conduction of election in a largely peaceful manner, unlike many world countries. Thirdly, judicial activism. See, the courts have been proactive in protecting political rights. The various landmark cases like the Kesavananda Bharati case, which had established the basic structure doctrine that will ensure that certain fundamental aspects of constitution cannot be altered by amendments. Even though these institutions play a vital role in safeguarding the political rights, there exist various challenges for it. Firstly, electoral malpractices. See, India is facing various issues like bribery, voter intimidation, and the use of muscle power, which still affects the electoral process. Secondly, corruption and criminalization of politics. See, the involvement of individuals with criminal background in the politics undermines the democratic process. Thirdly, inequality and discrimination. Despite constitutional provisions, caste-based discrimination, gender inequality, and socio-economic disparities continue to hinder the effective exercise of political rights of all the citizens. Next one is freedom of speech. There are various concerns about the curbs on freedom of speech and expression, with instances of sedition and defamation laws being used to suppress dissent. Finally, delay in the judicial processes. See, the judicial processes are often slow, plaguing with issues like pending cases. This may lead to delay in the enforcement of political rights and resolution of disputes. So these points you can write in the body part. Now moving on to the conclusion, it can go like this. Overall, the constitutional provisions in India are robust and have been effective in protecting and enforcing the political rights of citizens to a significant extent. However, continuous efforts are needed to address the challenges and ensure that all the citizens can fully enjoy their political rights. The judiciary, election commission and civil society must work together to strengthen the democratic framework and address the gaps in implementation. So that's all about mains answer writing practice. With this, let us move on to the next news article. Look at this science page article. A study suggests that elephants call each other by names. Researchers studied elephant calls in Kenya and found that elephants respond more to calls that seem to be directed at them. Using a machine learning model, they identified name-like sounds in the elephants' calls. When these calls were played back, elephants showed more interest and response to calls meant for them. This indicates that elephants can associate specific sounds with specific individuals, showing their strong social bonds and intelligence. They often use these calls to communicate, especially between mothers and calves. So with this, let us move on to the prelims practice question discussion. First question, consider the following statements with reference to human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV. First statement, it targets the immune system and weakens the affected person's defense against many infections. Yes, this statement is correct. Second, all the persons who are infected by this virus are affected by a disease called acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This statement is incorrect because, as we discussed, AIDS is the most advanced stage of HIV infection. So it can take many years to develop. So as more and more people have access to antiviral therapy, that is ART, their HIV do not progress into AIDS. Next statement, currently there are no treatments for HIV infections. See, this statement is also incorrect because there are treatments available for HIV infections. We saw about the ART, but remember that currently there is no cure for this infection since there is no specific vaccine available to cure it. So here they are asking which of the following statements are incorrect. So the answer is option C, 2 and 3 only. Next question, consider the following pairs. Here they have listed the Mars mission and its country. So let's match them one by one. First one is Hope mission. See, Hope mission is not related to USA, rather it is related to United Arab Emirates. So the first one is incorrect. Next, Mangalyaan mission. Yeah, this one is correct. Next, Taiwan one. Yes, it is a mission of China. Next one, Phobos Grunt. Yes, it is related to Russia. Here they are asking which of the pairs are correctly matched. So the correct answer is option B, 2, 3 and 4. So with this, we come to the end of this news article discussion. If you like the video, do like, share and subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy. Now thank you so much for watching.